It's time for today's Face-Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quanell X and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Taking away everybody's phone in the beginning of the day in the morning, but for what? Because you can't keep your school under control and you don't have the right amount of security.
And we are the voices because the teachers can't say much, the parents can't do much. So if we don't make the change, if we can't be the voice, then who will?
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
In our culture of 2024, where everyone loves to protest everything and everybody bandwagons the protest, we're getting a lot of support here in Houston. Our national audience might not be familiar. The HISD, the failing HISD school district, has had the state take it over and install a superintendent, and leadership changes have led to rule changes. Madison, which has been plagued with incredible violence that most people can't appreciate if they're not personally familiar, there has been a decision to take students' cell phones away from them as they get to school and to force the kids, the high schoolers, to interact without their cell phones, pay attention in class, and it's all downstream from people intentionally starting fights and then filming them for social media, I guess, street cred. I don't know about you, Quanell, but I grow tired of everything being a protest, and then all of the people that just blindly support protest because, well, that's all we do. How about telling these kids to get their asses to school? How about telling these kids to behave? How about telling them to get back to doing schoolwork? And how about supporting the teachers that actually want to do the damn work?
Well, you made some valid points,
Well,
Charles.
I always do.
But the problem with that is, in a normal setting, under normal circumstances, you're right. But under this setting at Madison High School in particular, the school that you said is plagued with incredible violence.
Well, it is.
That school needs those students to be able to document when they're being victimized, being assaulted, being bullied. They have students that have documented teachers having inappropriate relationships with other students at Madison High School. In fact, one particular student filmed one of the coaches doing something inappropriate with a fellow student. And in fact, now we got parents learning what's going on inside the classrooms and going on in the building because those kids do have access to cell phones. Many teachers do not want students to have cell phone access because they don't want their parents to find out the language that they use and how they treat certain students.
What a horrible load of crap.
Charles, wait a minute. With the level of school shooters and school threats, unless the school can meet qualified standards to guarantee the safety and security of those kids in those classrooms, we need kids with cell phones in case of a school threat to let the world know what's going on. And unfortunately, even when the kids call cops, like in Uvalde, cops still didn't do anything. If that school is so violent, I want my child to have a cell phone so they can document what's going on in them schools.
First of all, you're very aware, although you're not admitting it, to how incredibly violent that school is. And to pretend that the teachers in that school are the problem is just you doublespeak because you don't want any authority in this damn world if you can profiteer off it. These teachers need some control. You go look on Reddit and look at this teachers subreddit and just how every day our nation's teachers are just abandoned by their administrations. They're just abandoned by the school districts to deal with kids that don't want to learn. They're being encouraged to push them through. And yes, Uvalde, what a bunch of damn cowards, those policemen. But we cut our officers from a different cloth here in Houston. But, we could address this. We could have cameras in the classrooms. We could have cameras in the hallways.
So then implement those measures. So implement those measures before taking those phones from those kids.
Why?
Until those safety measures are implemented, don't rob the kids of their cell phones to alert law enforcement and their families when something dangerous is happening.
Massive riots and fighting in the school, and people were posting them and encouraging them and doing it for social media.
On one hand, but it's a good thing on the other.
No.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't. We need safe environments. And when you're admitting that school is not safe.
It's absolutely crazy.
So let's document them unsafe environments so parents can make demands to make it safer for their kids where they don't need cell phones in the classroom.
You were talking about safe environments because it's always been your tack. To hell with safety. To hell with safety.
Oh, that's not true.
It's absolutely
I said
true.
to hell with Eurocentric white
discipline.
safety in the name of white justice.
Okay, Whitey
I
Bad.
believe in
Okay,
safety,
Whitey Bad.
but I believe in safety for everybody, not safety for a select
almost
few.
exclusively black school. Okay,
Yes,
so
it is.
how is Whitey to blame with a person of color as the head?
You and your context in which you're
Whitey to
describing
blame?
that black school, I got to put you in place.
Put me in place?
Let me say this to you.
Good luck with that,
Black
Cornell.
students are not mass shooters. Black students don't go to school and shoot and kill everybody. Okay. That's what little white boys do. Okay. That's what white folk do. So while you talking about how dangerous that black school is, it's them little white boys that's the most dangerous students in school because they go there and shoot everybody.
You know what? We need schools that protect the rule-following, law-abiding students of color instead of abandoning them. And this policy is designed to try to protect these kids. And the ones that are skipping class and protesting,
but they haven't implemented the correct measures to guarantee safety.
Because you don't want to do anything. You don't want to fix anything.
Charles, I agree with you.
They
put
are
cameras in the classroom.
The kids
put call
that
buttons in the
don't
classroom.
give a damn
they
about
don't have
learning.
that, Charles.
And most of these administrators don't give a damn about these kids learning or the
Charles,
kids that are being bullied being
It's because of cell phones in classrooms that we've seen some teachers whoop kids unjustly, beat kids unjustly.
But
it's because of cell phones in classrooms.
The exception,
we've
not
seen some
the norm.
bad behavior
the
from teachers that never would have came out.
Teachers that are the ones being abused in this country 99 times out of 100.
Yes, I agree with you.
I love how you
and that's
talk
a bad
about,
thing, Charles.
Here's another truth.
But force the districts to make the environment safer for everybody, teachers and students.
Of the gun violence in this country, 60% of it is committed by black male criminals, right? Not black men generally.
Oh,
but
you want to go there?
No, let me finish.
You want to go
there?
there?
I interrupt you when you were talking about white people.
I'm about to clean your clock now,
you're not.
Go ahead.
You're going to lie.
Go ahead.
And the truth is that most mass shootings are committed by about 6% of the population. That population is not white Americans. We do need to do something about school shootings, but the endemic problem
you're gonna sit here and say
is about
60% of the killings in America, shootings, are black males, right?
Right.
But what you don't sit there and say that 99% of the gun manufacturers are white in America, not black. Them black kids got access to all those weapons, and there's not one manufacturing plant that makes guns in the black community. They get them from rich white folk who are getting guns to the black community. So you want to talk about us committing the acts with the guns, but what about the culprits who making them, giving them to our kids?
So you think the gun manufacturers
I told you you ain't ready for that, partner.
No, I am ready for it because you're full of crap. I know you have guns. I know you own guns. And the truth is that it's the bad guys with the guns that are the problem. It's not the law-abiding citizens.
But you want to show black kids committing these crimes, but you don't want to talk about them white boys.
You're the one that brought up race.
For making them guns.
You're the one that brought up race.
Oh, no, you did.
No.
You did. 60% of the crimes are murders about black.
Are you just not bright enough to remember when you started talking about white mass shootings and white problems?
And I told the
You're
truth.
the one that brought up
I told
race.
the truth.
No, it's actually not the truth.
The mass shooters are white folks in America.
No, it's how you.
The mass shooters, the preponderance of mass shooters are white males in America.
Well, when you say, okay, well, I'm not going to include gang shootings. That's the only way you get to that number. The truth is we shouldn't even be talking about race. We should be talking about keeping kids of all colors safe. But you don't give a damn.
Charles,
because every argument, you want to make it a race argument.
I'm not going to let you
don't
point to them little brothers out of ignorance who commit those gun violent crimes.
No.
And we don't want that. No, we do not. But we never want to talk about them rich white companies that's getting those guns to the black community.
First of all,
there's not one gun manufacturing plant in any black community in America. In any America.
White America generally is not to blame for what some super rich people do.
Who make them guns?
But just like black people are not to blame.
Who make them bullets?
Just like.
Who makes the bullets?
Well,
black folks don't make no bullets in America.
I'm sure they don't.
We don't make guns in America. Where are we getting it from?
Hold on. But it's not black people generally that are to blame for violent black male criminals, which is who I mentioned. Where you talk about white people generally because you're a racist, right? I talk about the criminals.
I'm the victim of racism.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Me and my people are victims of white supremacy
have been perpetuating racism and bigotry to make millions of dollars
have to
your
pay
whole life
for what they've done wrong.
You sit on this table.
But do it the right way.
Oh, really?
Do it the right way.
So every white person, every white baby that's born this year, they owe you an obligation because of the color of their skin?
I didn't say that.
Well, that's what you said. White
folk
have to pay.
Every white person should be accorded the opportunity to make a financial contribution.
Why are you making
to
stuff up?
reparations.
That's not what you said.
That's exactly what I said.
So you think a person,
all white folks have a duty to financially help repair the damage that was done with slavery and segregation and lynching in America.
For stuff they never had anything to do with.
I'm not saying
so
that,
are
Charles.
all black people to
I'm not saying
blame
that.
for all the
I'm not
crime
saying
that black male criminals get?
No, because white folks made them criminals.
Oh, so there's no personal responsibility.
White folks made them criminals.
There's no personal responsibility.
There are a few ignorant brothers,
you know what we need
but
to
the
do?
root of crime in the black community, root of crime in the black community is poverty.
Oh, it's all white people.
It's poverty.
So when we
and
don't
who made them poor?
So when we
who
don't
made the black community poor?
So when we
didn't make ourselves poor.
So when we don't see the same crime rates in white poor communities or Latino or most
because
certainly not
poverty
Asian
don't
poor
exist the same
communities.
way.
Oh,
because
so
poverty don't exist the
there's
same
an
way.
excuse for everything.
And then who's taking
you have an
guns
excuse.
to the black
you know
community?
What? I don't care if criminals are white, black, brown, or Asian. I don't care.
When did that
They
happen?
should be punished, right?
When did that happen?
They should be punished.
When did you start believing
What
like that?
that's always what I believe.
Bless
You're
your
just
heart.
the racist,
Bless-
Quanell,
don't
but
say
keep
such
being
a thing.
racist.
Bless your heart. Don't say such a
It's
thing.
nothing new.
How about that? He's going to the Super Bowl. What's that? 31-28. All right, let's see how you fare against these. A lot of people get paid a lot of money to try to figure that out. Let's see how close you are, bud.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, the little Chiefs fan, the young boy who was a part of a large controversy several months back, I believe it was in November, when he went to a Chiefs game and he was there with his Indian headdress, tribal headdress, and black face and some red paint, traditional Indian looks when they celebrate the tribal headdress. And I believe it was an African-American reporter who saw it, the kid in the crowd, and he wrote an article that he was very upset. He felt it was making mockery of Indians. Then we later learned that the young boy is an Indian himself, a member of a local tribe there in Kansas City, in Missouri. And his father is an Indian, parents are quote unquote Indian, or half Indian, etc. And now they're filing a lawsuit against a Deadspin, a media outlet, claiming that it helped defame the child, etc. Just a money-making opportunity, in my opinion. But also, I believe it is offensive, because when you look at the damage, the desecration, the decimation, the genocide that took place against Indians in America, to put on some tribal headdress as a mascot for a football team, I believe it's time to do away with that. Even the local tribe that this young man, his family is a part of, I think it's called the Chuman Indians or something like the Chumas Indians, they came out with a statement and said that they do not support the headdress being worn at football games, that the tribal ceremonial headdress is not appropriate to be celebrated at a football game or any sporting event. That is a part of their spirituality, and they felt that it was wrong for that to be done.
First of all, I'm offended, right? I've told you this time and time again, Indians, they're in India, right? And just because some Italian explorer got it wrong a few centuries ago and you keep persisting with it, they're indigenous Americans. They're not Indians, they're indigenous peoples. So you just sit over there being your regular racist self, but it's okay. But what I'm not offended about, and it's just people looking to be offended. First of all, he wasn't accused by Deadspin of mockery of indigenous people. He was accused of wearing blackface, and they used a photo that just showed the black half, and he had painted half his face black and half his face red, like a sports fan of his favorite team. Mind you, I'm not a fan, right? I'm not a fan of the Chiefs. I'm a Texans fan. I know you're a trash-ass Cowboys fans, but ain't nobody. Nobody. You know what no one's doing? You know what no one's doing? No one's crying about people culturally appropriating Cowboys with the Dallas Cowboy mascot, right? There's a reason. So when we had the team that called the Indians and they had that Chief Wahoo, that was a cartoonish mockery of, and they've changed their names to the Guardians of the Major League Baseball.
Which was the right thing to do.
That was a mockery of that culture, right? Redskins, they didn't have, now they're the Commanders, they didn't have a mockery photo. They had a very regal looking chief on the side of those helmets, but they used a horrible term that is clearly pejorative, right? But Kansas City, and I'm not a fan of the team, I'm not a fan of the coach or his drunken son that likes to drink and drive and hurt people, but they have never perpetuated any sort of derogatory vision of indigenous people. And this kid was, firstly, he was called white by everybody because, oh, well, we're going to assume if he's white, he's evil. And you'd be a lot less charitable if he didn't have indigenous heritage, which he does. But here's the thing, not everything's an insult. Not everything should be some crap for people to get all worked up and upset about.
Charles,
in fact, you can celebrate cultures and honor cultures,
there's
right?
no such thing as indigenous Americans. In referring to the red men and women of the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, now they're red, huh?
Because our indigenous
they're the Reds,
original
the
brothers
Reds.
and sisters of what we call America,
Okay.
they had no involvement in being called Americans.
Okay.
They had no involvement in being called Indians. That is a traditional name that was given to them. For that sake, I'll call them that so our audience may recognize and realize who I'm talking about. But at the same
Educated people
time,
don't refer
it's
to
white
indigenous
folks,
people
I'm
as
sorry,
Indians anymore.
And it was wicked, educated, so-called white folks who made mockery of them and called them Indians.
Right.
And now so-called white folks of
Right.
education don't turn around and rename them.
I get it.
The hell with that.
Whitey bad.
The same way they called us
Whitey
nigger,
bad.
Negroes, Afro-Americans of the damn hairdo. Then they call us African Americans. They never ask black folk what we want to be called. The same way they never ask the Indians what they want to be called. It's just white folks placing names and labels on everybody they want to.
In America right now.
That's making mockery
Okay, go
of
ahead.
Indian people.
Okay, in
And
America.
even the tribe that the young man's a part of came out with a statement and stated it was inappropriate.
Okay. In America today, if a white guy were to use horrible racial pejoratives, like on social media, like on the social media for this station.
Like what?
Like
what?
Any horrible pejorative word,
Well, say
he
one.
would be
Say one.
canceled. He would
Say
be
one.
thrown off.
You know a few.
But you know
Say
what?
one. You know
if
you know
go
a
on
few.
to Instagram or TikTok or even the Instagram for Fox
We can
Soul,
go right here.
you will see napkin Americans. You'll see white spelled with the Y. You'll see all these horrible pejoratives about
Napkin
white
Americans.
people like you don't know.
I hadn't heard that
right?
one,
Yeah, sure
napkin
you have.
Americans.
There is actually a TikTok video floating around. Maybe we'll use it next week, where this woman is just going off with this laundry list of racial pejoratives about white folk, and of course, yay, white people bad, right? But the truth
was a black woman
the
doing this?
truth, yes, the truth is that, and it's okay. It's okay in America.
We gotta look at that
to
video.
it is okay in America to use racial pejoratives at white people, but it's the end of the world, and every little thing. This kid is
White
indigenous.
folks founded
This-
racism
I get it.
and racial
I get
pejoratives
it.
in
I get
America.
it. I get
They
it.
founded it.
I get it.
And now that
I
somebody
get
else
it
want to call you
that
what you've called
every-
everybody else, all of a
No.
sudden your
You
heart
know-
is
you
broke
know,
now.
I get that the Western world, my heart's not broke. I don't give a damn. I don't cry about it every day like you do.
Because you
What?
have not suffered
Oh,
like
I know.
we have
My
suffered
life has been
because of that
so perfect.
racism.
You're not us, Quanell.
You have the
You're
complexion
just
for the
you.
protection.
Oh, so all the
You
crap
have the
in my
complexion
life,
for the
well,
protection.
That's okay.
And so-
every struggle for everyone doesn't matter unless it's Quanell.
Wake up
and
a
it's
black
black
man tomorrow and
people.
watch what happens.
Okay.
Wake
cool.
up a black man tomorrow and watch what happens.
What do you mean?
Then
Wake up. Go
you'll
ahead.
be-
Go
you'll-
ahead.
You'll be a big Negro that they're afraid of.
Me?
Yeah, you would.
Because I woke up with a different
No, 'cause
complexion?
you're 6'8".
Hey, maybe.
You'll be a big
maybe
nigga they're
we
afraid
should
of.
stop
You'll probably get
calling
tased when you get
everything
down the
cult-
street.
Maybe we should stop calling everything cultural
You'll probably get tased when
appropriation.
you get down the
Hey,
street.
good for this kid.
Don't go running.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Quanell all over the news last week. Alaskapox. Alaskapox, this dreaded disease, has taken one life. And it's tragedy when anyone dies, but this was a man that lived alone in the woods, alone in the damn woods, with cancer, who had a cat that hunted small animals that scratched him. He got an infection. He got some antibiotics. They didn't work. Then he died. It looks gross. Looks like a big ugly ass whitehead mixed with a wart mixed with a ringworm. I wouldn't want to have that, and I think it's horrible if this guy dies. But this is just yet another example of our legacy media, social media platforms, and the government trying to scare the hell out of all of us with this horrible stuff that isn't so horrible. He was immunocompromised. The death is horrible. But in America, if you look at death rates, Quanell, especially with young adults, fentanyl, killing people everywhere. We were talking about the Chiefs earlier in the show, those 3 guys that froze to death from that fentanyl-laced cocaine. We got suicide. We got gun violence, right? But for the government to do anything about all of those, especially the fentanyl and the gun violence, that would require them to restrict the liberty of bad people. And for them to do something about suicide, well, that would require the government to do something about mental health in America, which of course they don't want to do. Instead, they want to platform crap like this, scaremonger everyone in America, and use things like this as a vehicle to restrict the liberties of the law-abiding. And it's absolutely insane.
Charles, what concerns me about this is, can we really trust what they're calling this disease? Can we really trust what they've labeled this? We are the same people in this country who was told that the COVID-19 virus did not come out of Wuhan, China, in a Chinese lab. We were the same people who were told that Dr. Fauci had no financial relationship with anyone involved in creating the vaccine to treat the COVID-19 virus. That turned out to be a lie. What's more dangerous than fentanyl? What's more dangerous than gun violence and gang violence in America taking lives? A biological weapon engineered and put out into the public for the sole purpose of killing human beings. I am very suspicious that they had a quick such name about this virus. And how long have they studied this virus? And we hear the story that they're giving, but these are the same people who gave us a lie and multiple lies out of the CDC about COVID-19. How can we trust what they're telling us is really truthful now about this virus,
You know, I
Charles?
find it interesting you talk about the name of this virus. You remember the COVID-19, the coronavirus, it originally was the Wuhan flu, the Wuhan virus. And then the woke weirdos on the far left, and I consider myself dead in the center, but the woke weirdos on the far left decided, oh no, that's xenophobic. That's critical. It came from a lab called the Wuhan virus lab, right? And not this wet market nonsense. So I do fully anticipate that sometime in the coming weeks, someone's going to decide they're calling it Alaskapox because it came from, you know, small animals like a shrew or something in Alaska. They'll decide that that's offensive to the Inuit people or offensive to, you know, whomever, right? I don't think Eskimo is a proper term. I think that's considered pejorative now. But we'll decide, and by we, I mean the media and social media, that Alaskapox is rude, and they'll start calling it something else like COVID-19 instead of
But
we
Charles,
should still be
there
calling it the
are medical
Wuhan
physicians
flu.
right now
Right.
who study diseases, and
Well, that's their job.
and they believe that there is a plan to create another plandemic. Not this pandemic.
I don't think we have-
plandemic.
I don't think we
I
have
believe the
widespread
COVID-19
support.
virus was not a pandemic. That was a plandemic by China. And think about it. The minute they put that out into the earth, all of those taxations on China, all that
I've got to
talk began to
disagree to
change.
some degree. There was a
I don't
tremendous
trust it,
enough,
Charles.
there was a tremendous amount of death in China very early on, a tremendous amount, right? And then it spread to northern Italy because Wuhan is very involved in the textile business, as is Milan. And that's where you see, which has an aged population. But we also saw these American Democrats going, oh no, this isn't a thing. People forget Trump wanted to lock stuff down at first, right? He kind of got off course. I don't think it was a pandemic, and I don't think the evidence supports it. I think it was an accidental release.
What evidence?
Hold on.
That
I
they
think
give us?
There was an accidental
And you
release.
trust the evidence?
Hold on. An accidental release. I think we were lied to about a bunch of crap.
And you trust the
there was an
evidence. If they
accidental
lie to you about a
release
couple of things,
that
they'll lie about
China-
everything.
That China decided we don't want to be the only ones suffering this, so we're just going to lie about it, and then spread around the world.
And that's
right?
a plandemic.
And then what we had was all of the global governments and the powers that be decide, well, we can use this as an excuse to restrict movement.
I don't trust
to
none of
rob
them.
liberty.
I don't trust
to
none of
take
them.
so much from it. Think about how much people lost, how much kids lost. It's heartbreaking, Quanah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want safe schools. We want our children to be productive in schools. I don't like to see kids passing quizzes and passing final exams using their cell phones, but many are using their cell phones to pass quizzes and final exams and tests. The cell phones have made our children academically dumbed down. It has not really helped them. Then plus, it creates such a disruption in the classroom. I got that, but no. Until they can guarantee safety in the classroom for these kids, keep the cell phone. Until these teachers can stop having sex and sleep with all these kids, keep the cell phone. We're sitting here in Texas tonight. Texas leads the nation in teacher-student relationships that are inappropriate. We need some cell phones. We done caught a whole lot of teachers sending nude pics on cell phones. That's how parents are finding out what's going on in those classrooms with cell phones. Until we can guarantee some safety in those schools, call buttons, cameras, etc., keep your cell phone, children. I have no problem with that.
Okay, well, my rejoinder would be that here in Houston, that Madison High School, most of the kids aren't passing. In fact, the literacy rates, the math proficiency rates are all horrible. And it's easy to blame a myriad of things, but the truth is that teachers are not enfranchised to discipline and get the job done. And there are a lot of teachers who don't care at this point, they've just given up. If you ask any parent who's lost a child to violence at schools, whether it was horrible mass shootings or it was just regular everyday gang violence, I don't care. If you ask any parent, white, black, brown, Asian, whatever, they would rather have their schools run like prisons and keep kids safe. Schools need to do two things, right? Educate students and keep students safe, period. And the students that don't want to follow the rules, that they want to disrupt, we need to start warehousing them somewhere else instead of looking for all these excuses to keep the bad kids. Because who suffers the most? It is poor, rule-following students of color. They're suffering across this country every damn day.
See, there you go. Warehousing.
That's it for the Face-Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.